Hi, it's Mike Stevenson here. Just wanted to have a little bit of a look at a video for how to call Azure table storage from BizTalk. So on the screen here you can see there's a little diagram of the bit I'm working on at the moment. So we've got a scenario where BizTalk gets scheduled from the Azure scheduler. It makes a call via an Azure function to CRM, pulls some data back. In this case it's going to be option set data, and from there I'm going to push it to Service Bus and to Azure Storage. So in this demo I'm going to have a look at the Azure Storage piece of this. So what we're going to have a look at first off is Azure Table Storage. So over here, if we have a look with the Storage Explorer, so you can see I've got a table called Option Sets here. Currently I've not got anything in that table, so if we just refresh that, so we bring that up again, sorry. So you can see we've got nothing in here now. What I can do is with Postman, I'm able to make an HTTP call using the put command to insert an object. So here I've got a long URL which gives me a little bit of a code for doing the upsert. I need to specify a couple of headers, and then I specify my body, and I can send that using the put command. And you can see if I then do a query, so let me refresh that. So we try that again. We can see we've got the no data in the table here at the minute. If we do the command with Postman, we get a 204 back, which confirms it's been loaded, and we can go over here. You can see we've now got a record in table storage, and some very basic information about that record. Now the question is, what things do we need to do with our BizTalk solution to be able to get that data into table storage? So here I'm going to just delete that record, and we're going to have a look at what's going on in BizTalk. So first thing we need to do is we're going to use the SAS key capabilities for table storage. So we need to set up an access policy to begin with, and here you can see I've set one up earlier for BizTalk. I've specified quite a long time frame, and I've given it all the permissions that we have. You can obviously lock that down a little bit further if you need to, but for the demo purposes I'm just gonna give it everything I need. After that I need to get my shared access signature, so I'm going to specify my BizTalk access policy, and then I'm going to create my signature, and that's going to give me a long URL that I can use as part of the query string to call the table and kind of do my upload of data. So that's the key thing we need from table storage. Now next off, if we go and have a look at BizTalk, and here I've got in my BizTalk solution I've got a send port, and I'm going to use the WCF web HTTP adapter. I've specified the URL for table storage, but just the base URL for this. I've got a quite simple send pipeline here, so I'm mainly just using the JSON encode pipeline component, so that when my message gets sent, it'll be quite a nice simple JSON message, and that'll basically just go straight into table storage. If I have a look at the configuration for the adapter, so here you can see I've got the kind of base URL. Now what I have done is I've configured the HTTP mappings here, so if we have a quick look at that, and I think I'll just grab a notepad. So here I've defined an operation for my put operation, and the bits for the table we need to look at are, so I've specified the table name, and then we need to have the partition key and row key. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to look these up from properties I've promoted in the BizTalk pipeline. Then after that we've got the query string, which came from storage explorer, which gives me my SAS key to be able to sort of interact with table storage. From here, where I've specified those properties for the partition and row key that you can see here, we then use the value variable mapping. So I've specified a property, schema, namespace, and the property names, and they'll map to those variables in that query string. The next thing I need to do is change it to transport security, and in this case I'm also going to run it through a proxy server using Fiddler, so I can kind of show what's going on behind the scenes. And I'm going to specify two properties, so we've got the content type's going to be application JSON, and I've also specified the XMS version. Now, just a one point to note is I kind of got it working with Postman without the MS version, but I found with BizTalk that I was getting problems unless I put that in. So just a little bit of a gotcha to watch out for there. And but with those properties in, that should really be everything that I need. So I've got my filter set up to listen for the message that I want to send to the table storage, and what I should be able to do if I go and so if I just clean out Fiddler here, and then from Visual Studio, if I run my test, which executes that BizTalk apps process, where it's going to go and call the Azure function and then send the messages to service bus and to the table storage. So we'll wait for that to execute through. And then you can see some messages have come up now. So if we have a look at the ones we're sending to table storage, and I've configured Fiddler so that it sort of allows me to see what's going on under the hood, even though it would normally be using SSL. So here I've got my put address, I've got the headers that I've specified, and a couple of extra ones. I've got the JSON content that I'm sending up to table storage. Now, just in this particular point to note, there's an extra field here that wasn't in the Postman bit I demoed. So what I'm actually doing is I'm querying from CRM to get the details of an option set, and before I send this to table storage in BizTalk, I'm just converting that JSON array to be a string, so that when one of my apps gets that string out, it can serialize it back to the array. So for your message sending to the table, a simple message where you've got kind of like a key value pair like this, that'll go quite nicely into a table. But I think if you can have a more complex structure, you might want to figure out how to simplify that. So in this case, where it got complex here, I've just made it a string that's going to have a scrap of JSON in it. So my messages now have been sent up to table storage, and if we go and execute our query again, you can see here we've now got partition key, row key, we've got the bit of data from the JSON, and we've now got this extra sort of serialized JSON array in our ref data. So if we just recap what we did, then that shows that with a little bit of configuration of the web HTTP adapter, we just set the properties, we set the URL, and we had our SAS key friendly URL, so that made it really easy for us to deal with all the security for calling table storage. And then we just had to get the message in the right JSON format, set a couple of properties in the HTTP headers, and then we were good to go, and that's now loading up into table storage whenever we need to call it from BizTalk.